YouTube, Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video. It's looking more and more likely by the day that the 49ers could end up promoting current assistant head coach Brandon Staley to defensive coordinator, which is without a doubt, in my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of you guys probably agree with me on this, but definitely like the last resort option. Like, I would prefer Deshae Townsend over this guy. And he could become the Niners defensive coordinator, and he could have a lot of success in doing so. He had success when he was with the Rams. It's just not the guy that I can envision the 49ers settling with. If they don't get Saleh, of course. Yeah, I don't know. The reason being for why they could end up hiring him, obviously Saleh being the 49ers' top choice, he's currently a candidate for 3 different jobs: Las Vegas, Dallas, and Jacksonville. And from what was being reported, he did very well in the Jacksonville interview. He's clearly well respected in that organization. I also read as well that the Cowboys were intrigued during his interview, so he has a legitimate shot to become a head coach. He's actually scheduled for a second interview with the Jacksonville Jaguars on Friday. Therefore, the 49ers might have to wait a while to potentially hire Saleh as the defensive coordinator. I definitely don't see him going to the Raiders, only because they had Antonio Pierce. Antonio Pierce was an enthusiastic, different idea type of coach for the Raiders. And that's what you're getting with Robert Saleh. Seems like a lateral move for the Raiders to hire Robert Saleh. I definitely think he'd have more success than Antonio Pierce did. However, just seems like a lateral move. I think they want to pair, a potential rookie quarterback that they're going to get in this draft with an offensive-minded head coach. And I think clearly they really wanted Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson today was obviously hired as the Bears head coach. Great hire by the Bears. So, yeah, I mean, the 49ers might have to wait a minute on Robert Saleh. And obviously, in the most recent days, Jeff Ulbrich went to the Atlanta Falcons to become their defensive coordinator. Lou Anarumo from the Cincinnati Bengals, who was a guy not even linked to the 49ers in any degree, became the Colts defensive coordinator today. The Colts hired him. And then Ben Johnson, obviously hired by the Bears as their next head coach, is hiring Dennis Allen to become the Chicago Bears defensive coordinator. Now, obviously, if you guys have watched my last couple of videos, Dennis Allen, in my opinion, was the 49ers, in my opinion, would have been the 49ers' second top choice to become their defensive coordinator. But Kyle didn't even request to interview Dennis Allen, and obviously the result of that is him going elsewhere. So obviously, if the 49ers don't land Robert Saleh, the only 2 guys left that they have interviewed are Deshae Townsend and Brandon Staley. And Brandon Staley is just not an exciting candidate for this job whatsoever. He was a failure with the Chargers, and hence to why he had to take the job that he currently has as assistant head coach with the 49ers. It's just not an intriguing hire. It's not a guy that I think brings different ideas and enthusiasm to this defense. I don't like Brandon Staley as the next defensive coordinator. There's not a single team out there yet this hiring cycle that has requested to interview Brandon Staley for any role. He's a good defensive minded. He's clearly knowledgeable. I think people are scared from his Chargers stint. I think there's a lot of teams out there that look at other candidates in a much higher regard than they do in Brandon Staley. And it's alarming that nobody's requested to interview Staley as their next defensive coordinator. That's clearly a red flag, right? Like, he had success with the LA Rams during the time that he was there as their defensive coordinator. He was the defensive coordinator on their Super Bowl team when they won the Super Bowl in 21, I believe it was. So he had success with the Rams, but then he goes to the Chargers, and it's a dumpster fire with him. And then obviously Kyle Shanahan respects him, likes him very much so, to the point where he hires him as his assistant head coach. And I remember reading an article last year when they hired Nick Sorensen, and the article pretty much said that, like, if Sorensen doesn't do well, this could be a hire by Kyle Shanahan with Brandon Staley to kind of swoop him in if they fire Sorensen as their next defensive coordinator, and it might come to fruition. I mean, waiting on Robert Saleh in the manner that they are, when he's got second interviews lined up, I'm sure he's probably going to get a second interview with Dallas, maybe not, I don't know, but he's definitely got one with Jacksonville, and it's on Friday. And the 49ers waiting for Robert Saleh could cost them big time. I mean, they could have had a chance to interview Dennis Allen. They could have had a chance to interview Lou Anarumo, Jeff Ulbrich. The only three guys that they've hired: Brandon Staley, Deshae Townsend, and Robert Saleh. Clearly, they want Robert Saleh. They're ready to make him the highest paid defensive coordinator and all that stuff. But what if they don't land him? Is there a sleeper defensive mind out there that could become the next Niners defensive coordinator? I don't think so. I think they would then resort to Brandon Staley or Deshae Townsend. And I think just knowing the type of guy Kyle Shanahan is, and knowing his history of hiring within house and whatnot, his respect for Brandon Staley, it's probably going to be Brandon Staley if Saleh goes elsewhere. And it might be more likely than not right now on Monday night that Staley or Saleh goes and gets a head coaching gets a head coaching job. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I want Saleh to become the Niners defensive coordinator, but it's looking more and more likely by the day that Saleh will be a head coach, just knowing that he's done well in these interviews, knowing that Jacksonville wants him back for a second interview. He's well respected in the Jacksonville organization. Don't think that's an appealing job for him. Shad Khan, Trent Baalke, those guys are not guys, in my opinion, that you would want to work under. Especially Trent Baalke. I mean, he's the reason for the Jim Harbaugh situation that happened with the Niners back in 2014 with him leaving and whatnot. Like, definitely not a guy that you would want to work under, along with Shad Khan. I think Saleh takes this job. He finds himself in a very similar situation to what he did and was in New York with the Jets. Just a dumpster fire type of organization that above the head coach doesn't really necessarily know what the hell's going on or what they're doing. It's intriguing stuff, man, but Staley could be the 49ers' next defensive coordinator, and if Saleh goes elsewhere, I think all signs kind of point towards Staley becoming the defensive coordinator. I really hope I'm wrong here, but this makes sense. I know JD with Keeping the Faith on YouTube. Shout out to JD, by the way. Just made his return to YouTube. Fellow 49ers content creator, one of the OGs, one of my favorite 49er channels. He mentioned this in one of his recent videos too, about how he thinks Brandon Staley's probably going to be the next guy. So, yeah, man, it's not exciting news by any means. I'll be very disappointed if the Niners settle Brandon Staley, but that's a situation that's looking more and more likely by the day. So let me know your guys' thoughts, obviously, on this in the comments down below. How are you guys feeling about this? It's not intriguing by any means. So definitely a situation to keep an eye out on. Again, I'll keep you guys updated on this. But, yeah, the 49ers could very well turn to Brandon Staley as their next defensive coordinator. So, as always, go Niners. Again, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one.